The tension in the studio could be felt even before the cameras began rolling, a kind of invisible electricity that lingered over the set like an unspoken warning. Kelly Clarkson, with her trademark warmth and easy smile, welcomed Jon Bon Jovi onto her stage. She was radiant in her confidence, ready to charm her guest and her audience with the mix of humor and curiosity that had become her talk show signature. Jon walked in with the steady stride of a man who had spent decades under lights brighter than these, his leather-lined confidence wrapped around him like a second skin. The crowd erupted into cheers, some standing, some clapping with the energy that only a rock legend's entrance could command. Yet even amid the applause, there was something about his guarded expression, something clipped in the way he waved to the crowd that suggested tonight would not be an ordinary conversation. The show began, as it often did, with a burst of laughter and familiarity. Kelly asked about the new album, about the stories behind the songs, about life on the road. Jon offered anecdotes, fans holding banners in the rain, a moment when the band nearly missed a flight to Europe, the surreal experience of hearing an arena of 50,000 people sing your lyrics back to you louder than the amplifiers could manage. The audience leaned in, thrilled to hear first-hand accounts from a man whose voice had carried through generations of radios and stadiums. For the first 10 minutes, it was everything you'd expect from a meeting of two celebrated musicians. Light, warm, almost nostalgic, but then the atmosphere shifted. Kelly, who had never shied away from asking questions that audiences might secretly wonder but few dared to say aloud, gently broached the topic of longevity. "You've been performing at this level for over 40 years, Jon," she said, smiling, her tone carefully balanced between admiration and challenge. "Do you ever feel it's harder now? I mean, rock is demanding. Late nights, big crowds, running around stage after stage. Do you still have the same energy you did back then?" Words intended as a playful nod to his age seemed to hit Jon like a spark on dry wood. He leaned forward, his eyes narrowing just slightly. His jaw flexed as though he was grinding back a response, and when he spoke, the air in the studio thickened. "I'm not a nostalgia act, Kelly," he said firmly, his voice carrying the unmistakable grit of someone who had spent his life defying expectations. "I'm still doing this at the highest level, whether people want to admit it or not." The crowd reacted instantly, some cheering in support, others shifting in their seats with the uneasy murmur that comes when the tone of a show changes unexpectedly. Kelly laughed lightly, trying to keep things playful, but a visible crack had appeared in the conversation. She pressed on, as she often did. "Well, some critics have said—" Her voice remained bright, but her eyes searched his for reaction. "That maybe your performances aren't exactly the same as they were 20 or 30 years ago. That your voice has changed. And some suggest, just some, not me, that maybe now is the time to lean into being more of a mentor instead of carrying the full weight of arena tours on your shoulders. What do you say to that?" The audience made a collective sound somewhere between surprise and anticipation. Jon's posture stiffened. He blinked once, twice, and then let out a controlled breath. "I didn't come here to be told I'm past my prime," he replied, his tone sharp, heavy with defiance. "I came here to talk about music that still matters. I didn't spend 40 years building this career just to have it written off in 10 seconds by people who don't even play an instrument." Gasps rippled through the audience. Kelly's practiced smile faltered for the first time. She raised her hands slightly in a calming gesture. "I meant it with respect," she said, her voice softer now, trying to smooth the jagged edges, but Jon wasn't done. "Respect," he shot back, his voice carrying the rawness of a stadium mic check, "isn't questioning whether I belong on that stage. Respect is knowing I've earned it." The audience clapped nervously, unsure whether to cheer him on or sit in silence. Some laughed out of discomfort, others nodded vigorously in support of Jon's fire. The tension was undeniable. Kelly, ever the professional, shifted gears again. I understand, she said carefully. But what about legacy? You've already proven yourself. You're already a legend. Don't you ever think about being celebrated more for what you've accomplished than for trying to prove yourself? Night after night? I mean, look at Bruce Springsteen. He's gracefully stepped into that role, being honored for his history as much as for his present. Isn't that a beautiful thing, too? For a moment, John's expression hardened further. The mention of Springsteen seemed to ignite something inside him. He leaned in, his voice rising. I'm not Bruce. I don't need to be anyone's safe legend. I'm still out there every night proving it because I want Bon Jovi to be alive, not a museum piece. The words hit the air like a hammer. Kelly raised her eyebrows, realizing she may have crossed a line. The audience applauded uneasily, some thrilled by the drama, others wincing at the clash. Jon leaned back in his chair, visibly frustrated, while Kelly pressed her lips together, her usual sparkle momentarily gone. In the control room, producers whispered frantically into headsets. Do we cut to commercial? Do we ride this out? The decision hung in the balance. But Kelly, seasoned performer that she was, decided to lean into the fire. Perhaps she knew it would make unforgettable television. Perhaps she trusted her instincts to ride the storm. Jon, she said carefully, I respect what you've done, but you have to admit, the industry changes. Fans evolve. Maybe people just want to hear the classics. Maybe they don't need you to chase something new. That was the breaking point. Jon sat up straight, ripped the microphone pack from his jacket with one quick motion and shook his head. If that's all you think I am, he said, his voice ringing in the hushed studio, then why am I even here? I don't need this kind of interview. I've got nothing to prove to you or anyone else. The audience gasped audibly. Kelly's hand hovered in the air as if to stop him, but Jon had already pushed back his chair. He stood towering in frustration, his boots echoing against the studio floor as he moved toward the exit. The cameras caught every second, from the stunned expression on Kelly's face to the audience members clutching their phones, some already recording. I've been on every stage in this world, Kelly, he said, his voice cutting through the silence like a blade. Madison Square Garden, Wembley. Stadiums sold out on 5 continents. I didn't earn that by letting people tell me what box to fit in. I didn't come here to be disrespected. Kelly, torn between professionalism and disbelief, reached out slightly. Jon, please, that's not what I meant. You know I'm a fan. You know I respect you. But Jon raised his hand, cutting her off mid-sentence. Respect is action, not words. And right now, this doesn't feel like respect. And with that, he turned his back to the stage, his leather jacket glinting under the studio lights, and walked toward the exit. The studio was frozen. The sound of his boots echoed long after he disappeared behind the curtain. Kelly sat motionless for a beat, then forced a laugh that trembled slightly. Well, that was Jon Bon Jovi, everybody. The crowd clapped hesitantly, some cheering to fill the silence, others glancing at each other as if to ask, did we really just witness that? Kelly's smile returned, but it was tight, strained, a mask of professionalism stretched thin. Backstage, chaos reigned. Crew members scrambled to follow Jon, some pleading with him to return, others just trying to usher him smoothly out of the building before the press swarmed. But Jon was furious. He shook his head at every suggestion, his words curt. I'm done. I'm not walking back out there. Social media lit up almost instantly. Within minutes, clips of Jon ripping off his mic and storming out of the interview were trending across Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram. Fans were divided. Some applauded Jon for standing up for himself, for refusing to be diminished. Others criticized him for being overly sensitive to questions that came with the territory of being a veteran artist. Hashtags exploded. Bon Jovi storms off. Kelly vs. Jon in daytime drama. Memes appeared within the hour, dramatic music overlaying Jon's walk-off, captions mocking or celebrating the clash. Entertainment blogs rushed out headlines. Rock legend loses. Temper on daytime TV. Kelly Clarkson's tough questions drive Jon Bon Jovi off set. Daytime show erupts into chaos as rock star walks out. That evening, every major entertainment network covered the moment as their lead story. Talk shows replayed the footage frame by frame, dissecting every expression, every pause, every clipped word. Pundits debated fiercely. Was Kelly wrong to press him so hard? Was John too thin-skinned to take fair questions? Former talk show hosts chimed in, some defending Kelly's right to ask, others insisting John deserved more sensitivity given his career. By the next morning, it was everywhere. Morning shows analyzed it alongside politics and weather. Entertainment magazines plastered John's exit across their covers, and fans across the globe chose sides. One commentator even declared, "This is the most explosive daytime TV moment since the Rosie O'Donnell and Elizabeth Hasselbeck clash on The View." Clips multiplied, edited into countless variations. Some were dramatic, turning the moment into a movie trailer. Others were comedic, adding laugh tracks or slow-motion effects. Meanwhile, die-hard fans posted heartfelt tributes defending John. As one of the last true rock stars unwilling to bow to media disrespect, Kelly's team was overwhelmed with requests for comment. For nearly 24 hours, she remained silent, continuing with her show as if nothing had happened. But the pressure mounted. Finally, she filmed a short video from her dressing room. Looking tired but composed, she addressed the storm. "Y'all know me," she said, speaking into her phone. "I've been in this business long enough to understand passion when I see it. Jon Bon Jovi is a legend, and I never meant to make him feel disrespected. If it came off that way, that's on me. I ask tough questions because I admire people, not because I want to tear them down." Her candid tone softened the narrative for many. She ended with a small smile. "John, if you're watching, I still love your music. I hope we can laugh about this someday." The clip went viral, praised for its humility and sincerity, but not everyone was satisfied. Some accused her of backpedaling, others argued she should never have asked the questions in the first place. The debate raged on. John, for his part, stayed silent for 2 full days. His absence only fueled speculation. Finally, during a radio interview meant to promote his album, he addressed it directly. "I've been around too long to play games," he said, his voice gravelly, steady. "I walked off because I won't sit there and let someone define my career like it's already over. I respect Kelly, I really do, but I'm not going to smile through something that cuts at who I am as an artist." He paused, chuckled slightly. "Maybe I should have handled it differently, but hey, I've been walking off stages my whole life. Sometimes it's the only way to make a point." That single line reignited the conversation. Some praised his honesty, his refusal to be tamed. Others accused him of arrogance, of being unable to handle fair criticism. The divide only deepened. In the weeks that followed, the clash remained one of the most talked-about moments of the year. For John, it became both curse and blessing. His new album received a surge of attention, sales spiking from the publicity. But it also branded him as temperamental, unwilling to face hard questions. For Kelly, it cemented her reputation as a fearless host, but also invited scrutiny about how far a daytime host should push an iconic guest. Regardless of where people stood, one fact was undeniable. The fiery clash between Jon Bon Jovi and Kelly Clarkson would be replayed, analyzed, and remembered for years to come. It had become more than just an interview. It was a cultural moment, the day a rock legend stormed off a daytime stage in front of millions, leaving behind a trail of gasps, headlines, hashtags, and the kind of unforgettable drama that only live television can deliver.